Hi, I'm Graham Alcott, author of How to Be a Productivity Ninja, and these are my top tips for how to choose the perfect to-do list app. So there's a few questions to ask around this, but very basically, it's really important to know what these things do and find one that actually meets your needs. It's not as stupid as it sounds, because there are quite a few apps that are very good at being stylish and look very shiny and very interesting, but actually don't do the things that you really need it to do. So let's talk about functionality. I think for me, there are a couple of very important things that you need to have here. The first is to have the ability to create two different types of lists. So usually a lot of the to-do list apps will have some kind of project function. And you also need to have some kind of way of having either categories or tags, because essentially that becomes the master actions list too. So you need to be able to view these things on a project by project basis. And within that project, all the different actions are displayed underneath that project. And you also need to flip that round, slice and dice it the other way and say, show me all the things that I can possibly do, regardless of what project they're part of, and show me all the things that I can do when I'm in the office, show me the things that are calls, show me the things that are on my mindless list, show me the things I'm waiting for other people to do. So having that ability to slice and dice between project by project, and then the other way, which is the master actions list and thinking about the waiting for and good ideas part kind of list as well. Those are really important bits of functionality to have. And actually not every to-do list app will give you that, and some of them won't give you that for free as well, because they'll have a free version and a paid version. There are other bits of functionality to think about. Personally, I'm not big on calendarizing to-do list tasks, but there are some of the apps will have a kind of calendar feature and will remind you to do certain tasks at certain times. So if that's important to you, if that's something you think you're going to use, make sure the functionality of that is good. Some people also really like to have a priority function. This is something I do use quite a lot for myself. Is often I'll kind of set up the priorities as almost being my daily to-do list type of thing. So having a star or a little exclamation mark or some kind of way of noting priority can be one of the things that people use really well. But first step in choosing any app, in particular Second Brain app, is functionality. Don't get drawn in by the style and shiny. Think about what they actually do. Are they going to do the things that you need them to do? And are they going to do that either for free or for a price that you're willing to pay? So let's think about this. The track record of these apps are really important. And we're probably in an age now where there are more iPhone apps that were originally developed for the first iPhone that are dead than are still alive. So when you think about it like that, it's really important to find apps that have a really good reliability, have a really good track record, that are not going to be caught out by the next operating system update, things that are going to be able to stay the course, stay in the game. You don't want to invest a lot of time putting all your data into something like this, and then you find the next week that it's dead or it's got a bug or it doesn't exist. So reliability and track record, really important. It's a great way of finding out apps that are going to be quite functional. If millions of people are using them, they're probably going to be quite functional, right? But by the same token, just the risk factor is reduced if you're using something that does have a bit more reliability and does have a bit more track record. So think about those latest and loudest and newest apps. Are they ones that are really going to stay the course? Some really good signs to look for are, do they have really big investment behind them, which means that they're going to be around for a long time? Are they done by somebody in their bedroom? Really thinking about the background of these things, because if you're going to trust your data with them and you're going to want that stuff to last, then you've got to really think about reliability and track record really heavily here. There are certain apps that are just such a pleasure to use, and it just feels really satisfying to interact with them. They've got a really nice interface to them. And that can be a really good thing. I think if you start to put that ahead of functionality and ahead of reliability, I think you're in trouble. But it's really good to find stuff that feels nice. And particularly when what you're trying to do here is develop a new habit, which is managing your second brain using an app. It's really important to find something that you're going to enjoy using, you're going to enjoy interacting with, and not something that as soon as you look at it, you just feel a bit like, ugh, I don't want to go there, I don't want to interact with that at all. So something that's stylish, something that has a nice user interface to it is a really good thing, but obviously don't prioritize that above functionality and reliability. This is a really interesting one. There are so many to-do list apps out there that are free. There are a lot that operate the model freemium, so there's a certain amount of stuff that you get for free, and then you have to pay if you want to get onto the more detailed plan around these things. So think about what your budget is for this stuff. I think a lot of people, it's dying away a little bit more now, but a lot of people still have this mentality, which is, if I can get an app for free, why would I pay for one? And I would really question that. I think buying something that's really reliable, something that you have to pay a few dollars or a few pounds a month for, can actually be really worthwhile here. If you think about the comparative nature of that, what you would spend in a month on coffee, or what you would spend in a month on taxis or travel, and then what you're spending on an app that's really going to boost your productivity, and if you're using it well, it's going to really reduce your stress levels much more than any coffee or any leisure or anything else that you might do. So when you start to think about it in those kind of terms, there's really no reason not to spend a few pounds a month or a few dollars a month on an app that's going to really help you do that if you can't find the one for free that's going to give you the same effect. So do think about price. I don't necessarily think with these things that there's always a notion of you get what you pay for, but I do think a lot of the better apps are these days ones that you pay a little bit for, and it's worth kind of having that mindset at the start and kind of thinking about that as you make that decision. So I hope that's been useful. Just 4 really quick observations of things to think about in choosing the best app for your second brain and to really start boosting your productivity. What I will say is there's a whole bunch of people around the web who have put loads of time into answering those questions. So if you see apps that are really well recommended by experts and people who are reviewing lots of different apps and they're saying this one's the best, that's also a really useful thing to look at too. And here on the Academy, there's a whole bunch of different videos and different short courses designed around particular apps. The one that I use personally is Nozbe. There's some other videos on here where I'm talking about how I implement my own systems and my own second brain using Nozbe. And similarly, we've got other ninjas here on the Academy providing their insights into apps like Todoist, Trello, Remember the Milk, and so on. So really useful to think about which of these apps have been around a long time and to model essentially some of the other ninjas that we have here and some of the other experts who talk about productivity around the world. Because ultimately they've done the hard work for you, and I think there's definitely something to be said for riding in on the slipstream of these things. So hopefully that's just helpful in giving you a few observations of different things to think about in choosing an app. I know it can be a little bit daunting when there's so many out there, but start with some of those more well-known ones, start with some of those questions that I've just outlined, and should make your job a whole lot easier. And if you would like to share and ask us questions about this stuff, you can do that here within the Academy. And you can also drop us a message on Twitter, so at Graham Alcott, at Think Productive, and we're also very willing and able to connect on Facebook and various other places as well. So look forward to hearing from you. Good luck in your choices. See you soon.